Pierre Gasly is entering his fourth full season in Formula 1 this year, and his career has certainly had its ups and downs, from the lows of his short time at the Red Bull team to the highs of becoming an unexpected race winner in a midfield car. The French driver is clearly one of the most talented drivers on the grid, but is Pierre Gasly lucky to be where he is today, given the ruthless nature of the Red Bull driver programme? Let's have a look. My name's Andy, and this is Behind the Drive. Now, before you jump in the comments and tell me I'm crazy, hear me out on this one. Pierre Gasly got demoted from Red Bull in 2019, and I think it's fair to say that there won't be any second chances of getting back there. For 2021, he takes up a seat that for the last decade has been dedicated to developing new drivers and talent for that team, which is the key point that I'll be looking at in this video. Has the Red Bull Academy drought allowed Gasly to stay in the sport for longer than he would otherwise have done? Which in turn has meant that his stock in the sport has now been able to reach an all-time high. Gasly's F1 career so far. So Gasly joined Toro Rosso initially back in 2017 for 5 of the last 6 races of that season. He stepped in for Daniel Kvyat, who had been demoted from the main team the previous year. He didn't exactly make an instant impression, finishing outside of the points on all 5 occasions, but Gasly was the 2016 GP2 champion, so there was still a reasonable amount of excitement over his permanent addition to the grid in 2018. Gasly partnered Brendan Hartley in that 2018 season with Toro Rosso, and although it's fair to say that Hartley got more than his fair share of bad luck that season, Gasly absolutely dominated his teammate, with the Frenchman scoring 29 points to Hartley's 4. The highlight of Gasly's season was an impressive 4th place finish in Bahrain, where he scored his first F1 points. It was a job that was really set up by an impressive Saturday qualifying, and his 4th place finish became the best that any Honda-powered car had achieved since the engine manufacturer rejoined the sport in 2015. Moving into 2019, and this is where things all really changed for Gasly, as despite only having a single full season under his belt, he was promoted up to the main Red Bull team. Now this was following the shock departure of Daniel Ricciardo, who'd moved away from the front-running team to join Renault. It was clearly a bit unexpected for Red Bull, but given they had always been able to fill that Red Bull seat with the next available Toro Rosso driver in recent times, the move to promote Gasly looked like a sensible one. After all, he had impressed during his full debut season. However, it all went downhill for Gasly as he struggled to keep up with his more experienced teammate in Max Verstappen, a driver that had had the time to develop the car to suit his driving style. As a result, come the mid-season break of the season, Verstappen was sat on 181 points to Gasly's 63, so almost a third of Verstappen's points. To add, Gasly was just clinging on to 6th in the championship, but was still 69 points behind Charles Leclerc in 5th, so less than half of that of the Ferrari driver's tally. Now this was clearly unacceptable for the Red Bull team, as they expected a driver that could offer support to Max Verstappen out near the front of the field. By this stage in the season, Verstappen already had 2 wins to his name and was proving the car was capable of being near the front. So, during the summer break, Gasly got dropped back to the Toro Rosso team to be replaced by the rookie Alex Albon. Now this is the first point in his career at which we can see that Gasly was lucky. The Red Bull outfit aren't exactly afraid of casting aside young drivers if they don't have any need for them, or if any new driver was on the horizon. After all, Gasly himself had gained his first Formula 1 debut at the expense of Daniel Kvyat midway through a season. However, Gasly was somewhat fortunate that there was a gap in the Red Bull driver programme, and so a straight swap became the best choice for the team at the time. But the rest of the 2019 season, where Gasly was arguably living on borrowed time, he bounced back on his return to the Toro Rosso team. He achieved 5 points finishes across those final 9 races, including his incredible 2nd place finish in Brazil, where he took advantage of a crazy race to reach the podium for the first time in his Formula 1 career. And for Gasly to achieve that in the Toro Rosso car made a statement to prove that he was more talented than his time at Red Bull had shown. And the driver was of course kept on at the newly named Alpha Tauri team for 2020. Once again, Gasly was lucky here that there weren't any new Red Bull drivers on the horizon in the academy. The team, keeping both him and Kvyat on for 2020, shows that this gap was creating challenges for the team at a wider level, which we can now see even more clearly, of course, given the 2nd Red Bull seat was taken by Sergio Perez for 2021. But had there been any other drivers waiting in the wings, I'm sure they'd have ended up taking a seat in the AlphaTauri team. But Gasly was retained for 2020, and he undoubtedly had his best year yet, despite scoring fewer points than he did in 2019. He achieved 10 points finishes across the season, in the 7th fastest car over the year. But it was his incredible shock win at Monza that obviously stood above the rest of his results, as an early pit stop put Gasly in a prime position following some unusual events, including the pit lane being closed during a safety car period and a red flag. But despite these challenges, he was there at the front and took advantage of the other cars struggling around him. And then he did incredibly well to keep Carlos Sainz behind in those closing stages. So it was an unbelievable result for Gasly, and really solidified his status in Formula 1 as a driver in demand, an impressive turnaround in just 18 months. Over the year, he decidedly beat Daniel Kvyat, scoring 75 points to 32. So these impressive performances have allowed Gasly to stay with the AlphaTauri team for his 3rd full season with them. Gasly's future. So going into 2021, Gasly's sticking with the team for his 3rd full season, and as a driver, he looks very comfortable with the team. This year, he has a new teammate once again in Yuki Tsunoda, a driver that has had a rapid rise to Formula 1, finishing 3rd in the Formula 2 Championship last year as a rookie. Now I think Gasly will beat Tsunoda over the course of the season pretty comfortably. You can't expect a rookie to come into that team and beat a driver that's been there for a while. And while I think Tsunoda is ready for Formula 1, I expect he would need at least 2 years to really find his feet in the sport before realistically having any chance of making the move up to Red Bull. Besides, I doubt the main team will need to look for a new driver anytime soon, given their new driver lineup for this season. So this could be a good opportunity for Red Bull to ensure they promote only the best drivers up to the main team, and only when they are ready. Now, as I've mentioned on a few occasions in this video, I believe Gasly's stock in Formula 1 is higher than it's ever been since the driver's recovery, and there is widespread speculation that his time at AlphaTauri will finish at the end of this season, with drivers like Liam Lawson, Juri Vips and Jehan Daruvala all in Formula 2 preparing to make a step up to a Formula 1 seat, should they get enough super license points of course. So it makes sense that Gasly has moved on from the team, and once that happens, Red Bull will have really hit the reset button on their driver structure in Formula 1. But whereas other drivers have been passed on by the team to never return, it's widely expected that Gasly will move on to the French team of Alpine, potentially taking the seat of Esteban Ocon. Now I think if this happens, it will once again be a demonstration of just how long it's taken for the Renault and now Alpine team to find a settled driver lineup. If it was to happen, Gasly would become the 8th driver to drive for that team since 2016. So for Gasly, it wouldn't exactly be a settled permanent home, but as Carlos Sainz has proven since leaving Toro Rosso, you can quickly become a staple member of the midfield and then get your chance at a top team. And I think that Pierre Gasly has now earned his right to stay in the sport. After all, he's achieved 2 podiums, one of which was a race win. So he has the talent, but as much as his talent has shone through, luck has played a significant part in his achievements. Who's been unlucky on all this? Now of course, luck goes both ways, and there have been plenty of talented drivers that have fallen by the wayside from both inside and outside of the Red Bull driver program recently. First off, we need to talk about Alex Albon, who got just half a season in that Toro Rosso car before replacing Gasly at the Red Bull team. And despite doing okay, he wasn't really up to the standard set by Max Verstappen, and so of course he was demoted at the end of the year. But the difference is that when Gasly got dropped, he was able to stay in the sport, but Albon has well and truly been left by the wayside in that tough position of taking a sabbatical from the sport. The issue was that he was given almost too much time in that Red Bull car, as the AlphaTauri team were able to confirm their driver lineup before Albon's future was confirmed publicly. Albon will race in DTM, and whilst that's a respected category, it doesn't really compare to Formula 1. But should Albon be able to get a race win or two, he could just do enough to find himself getting a second chance in a Red Bull owned seat, which is of course also dependent on those other Red Bull juniors I mentioned earlier, not getting themselves into a position where it makes more sense to hand the seat to them. So for me, Albon's massively unlucky. In 2019, when he got promoted to Red Bull, he wasn't ready. Yes, he had done well in his 12 races so far, but he didn't have the experience needed to race at the front of the field, and once results started going the wrong way for the driver, he was left in a downward spiral. Another driver to note in recent times that got unlucky for me is Stoffel Vandoorne. The 2015 GP2 champion got just 2 seasons in the sport, joining McLaren for 2017 and 2018, during which McLaren were at their lowest point. To add, he was up against Alonso, and it never really felt like he got going in his Formula 1 career. He was undoubtedly talented, but for me, never got the opportunity to prove himself. Sure enough, he's moved on to Formula E, where he's been awarded the fan boost at every single race by the way, and in the 2019-20 season, he achieved second place in the championship, proving that if he has the right machinery, he can deliver top quality results. So for me, his time in Formula 1 was plagued by bad luck. Should he have joined McLaren at a different time, or if he'd joined a different team altogether? Maybe we would see the Belgian driver still in Formula 1 today. So as for Pierre Gasly, well, I think he's lucky to be where he is today, and I can't stress enough that isn't a knock of his talent, because he's undoubtedly good enough for the Formula 1 grid. But amongst all of the negative circumstances that surrounded him when he was dropped from the Red Bull team, he was given that shot at redemption, which the French driver took with both hands. So I think we'll see Gasly in the sport for a few more years yet, based on his talent. So that's my view on whether Pierre Gasly is lucky to still be on the F1 grid. What's your opinion? Let me know in the comments, and if you've enjoyed this video and watched this far, then please leave it a like and subscribe for more F1 content in 2021 and beyond.